Okay, and we're back. So now we need to start addressing parts of this. I'm gonna zoom in. Oh, look at that puppy. Use the mouse, spacebar. Things like this, I think, are not gonna be too hard. Let's address some of this monster bits up here. If I go back to the stamp visible, I can also select a big chunk of border. Command J is layer, new layer from selection. So we'll call this border chunk. Grab the move tool, move it over. Kind of position it. Let's see if we have a nice rounded, we have a beautiful round curve over here. So I'm doing the same technique for everything. If you have clean, I think if you were to do this, the first thing you would do is retouch the little bits and pieces so that when you're copying it and moving it, you don't have to retouch it again, right? These bits and pieces are not that bad. So I feel pretty confident going to the stamp visible layer, hitting Command J, and calling this corner piece. Zoom out, grab the move tool, grab that corner piece. Now I need to flip it, edit, transform, flip horizontal, and I need to put it above the border chunk. Also, it is going to have to be distorted a little bit. You can see it's a little too big. If I go to Edit, Transform, Scale, I can bring it down a little bit, hold the Shift to constrain proportions. Okay. Now I'm going to hold down the Command key, the Control key, to use a little submenu to go to Distort. Bring that edge over. We're also missing a little bit of a shadow, which I think we could fix later. If you notice it's like snapping and not giving you the delicate kind of movements that you want, go to View and turn off Snap. That always gets my goat. Okay, that's not so bad right there. And then hit Return to apply the transformation. I'm going to go back into it one more time. Command, let me try perspective. Perspective worked good. Hit Return and add a layer mask. Grab the brush on the layer mask. Isn't it? It's like magic. It really is like magic. Do the same thing to the border. Blend in those sides. So we have now a border that we did a little bit of blending in here. So the way I like to approach it is to get the big chunks first. And then after I've got all the big chunks moved, then I would make another stamp visible layer to go in and do my really in-depth retouching. For here, I would say this is coming along pretty well. Let me change the hardness of the brush so that I can get a really nice line right there. And then let me blend these a little bit. Go to corner piece, get the brush, clean that up. And you may have to grab one or the other. Just use the arrows to make sure they are all lined up. And then maybe the transformation tools. It's going to be a little bit of a push and pull to get everything dead on. But for now, it's looking pretty good. We just have a little bit of detail work. We could go to the stamp visible, grab the clone stamp, option click to sample a little area. Option click to sample another little area. You don't want to paint with the clone stamp. You can start at one end, make a little bit of difference, then go to another. And then once you've got a shape like that, grab the patch tool and then drag it to a new area. It's like making a little bridge. So when you have a really big troublesome area, if you retouch each end, okay, whoop, hey now. Right. So you can start cleaning that up. If it starts to look fuzzy and a bit messy, then you want to bring the clone stamp in. Thank you, Camtasia. I see how excited you are. Grab the clone stamp, zoom in a little bit, option to set a source, make the space a little smaller, and then you can grab the patch tool. And those two tend to work pretty good. If it is getting, remember the patch tool blends, the clone stamp does not. So working with them together should keep you from getting anything that looks a little fuzzy like this. Like I would go back in with the clone stamp and make sure that it doesn't look mushy. In this case, it's hard to not get a repeated pattern because it's such, kind of a congested mess. The best thing you can do is to work small and local. And do not make big strokes with it. Just make tiny little strokes. And then Command minus out and see if you notice it. If you look at the picture and your eyes go right to it, then you have to go back in and either erase. If you're on a blank layer, like if I was on retouching, I could just do it, erase. But on stamp visible, I have the option of going back in and seeing if another tool will be more successful. In this case, the patch. So I'm going to select just this little piece right here, right? And it gets rid of that repeated pattern. Getting a little bit of repetition in there, a little bit of repetition here, okay. And it gets rid of it. If you zoom out, it's looking pretty good, yeah? All right.